honest camp might have won the battle, but they ain't win.
That nigga wanna say something about my mama. Your mama dead as fuck, nigga. Your mama dead as fuck. Go.
Welcome back to Buzzbuster. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss daily videos. At the height of the beef, T.I. and his crew looked totally unfazed in public. On the surface, they moved like nothing could touch them, while the entire internet watched the back and forth explode online. Commentators were already calling it early, saying T.I. had clearly walked away with the win in the rap battle. Online, the energy around T.I. felt calm and confident, almost like the storm had already passed and the scoreboard was locked in his favor. People thought the drama was finished and everyone was moving on.
Post a picture of your motherfucking mama, nigga. She dead, nigga. Pay respect, nigga.
But then, out of nowhere, 50 Cent dropped something that made people freeze mid-scroll and stare at their screens. Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc did? That single line instantly got attention. Then came the shocker. 50 Cent leaked episode 1 of a documentary project built around more than 20 sexual assault allegations connected to T.I. and his wife Tiny. What looked like a rap feud that had already wrapped up suddenly turned into something much heavier, and the entire conversation shifted into a different lane overnight.
50 Cent is cooking up next. Just a few hours ago, 50 Cent went on a post and delete on his Instagram where he went out to post a picture of Tiny and T.I. and captioned it by saying, "Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc?"
This chain of events didn't start with the leak though. It actually began with a warning that many people barely noticed at first. Earlier, 50 had posted something involving Tiny. The caption pointed straight toward about 20 sexual assault cases connected to T.I. and his wife, and it immediately stirred controversy. The post didn't stay up for long, but in the internet age, nothing truly disappears. Within minutes, people had screenshots circulating everywhere, and those who caught it early understood the message loud and clear. The leak hit so hard because it wasn't even a full episode. It was just a preview, a signal of intent, and the tension between 50 Cent and T.I. didn't begin yesterday either. Their rivalry stretches back almost 2 decades, built on clashing personalities, industry competition, and 2 completely different rap worlds colliding. New York power versus Atlanta energy. Things really started to harden back in the late 2000s when 50 Cent began pushing a narrative that T.I. had cooperated with authorities after his legal trouble.
Was in common. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're gonna ask about your 20 S8 cases. You might want to talk to a crisis PR person. He then commented on his own post down below and commented by saying, "Fire new music today."
The situation goes all the way back to October 2007 when T.I. was arrested during an investigation involving the attempted purchase of machine guns and silencers. At the time, court reports said he could have been facing a sentence of up to 10 years. In hip-hop circles, that kind of situation always sparks rumors, and 50 Cent made sure the topic never faded from the conversation. He even took direct shots inside his music. On a G-Unit record, 50 rapped, "Get knocked with 10 machine guns, only get 12 months. Oh, we don't talk to me." That line bounced across the culture and people repeated it everywhere. For years after that, fans, blogs, and rival rappers kept bringing the situation back up. The accusations hung around T.I.'s name like a shadow that refused to go away. For most of the 2010s, the tension cooled down and the feud stayed mostly quiet. It wasn't fully gone, but it wasn't exploding either. Then, around 2020 and 2021, things started heating up again when T.I. began publicly pushing for a versus battle. The popular platform where artists go head-to-head by playing their biggest hits back-to-back had fans excited at the idea of a massive 50 Cent versus T.I. showdown. There was just one problem. 50 Cent shut the idea down every single time. Then Super Bowl weekend in February 2026 arrived, and that's when everything blew up again.
You getting new music from 50 Cent, or what is the play here?
T.I. appeared on the Nightcap podcast and claimed that 50 Cent had actually agreed to do the versus battle, but later backed out. T.I. suggested that 50 had basically ducked the smoke. That statement spread across the internet fast and instantly reignited the rivalry. 50 Cent responded the way he's famous for, not with a diss song first, but by jumping straight on the social media. He reposted an old Crime Stoppers public service announcement that T.I. had appeared in years ago, using it to bring back the same snitch accusations that had followed T.I. for years. The moment that clip resurfaced, the internet knew the feud was officially alive again. Then the situation exploded again on February 22, 2026. 50 Cent posted a photo of T.I.'s wife, Tamika "Tiny" Harris, on Instagram. The image looked like it had been picked or edited in a way meant to make her look unflattering, and the caption openly mocked her appearance. Within minutes, the post sparked heavy backlash and pushed the feud into an even heated space online. That single post flipped the entire situation upside down. The moment 50 Cent uploaded that picture, the reaction inside T.I.'s circle came fast and loud. People close to the family immediately started responding, and the tension began climbing fast across social media. T.I.'s son, King Harris, jumped straight onto Instagram Live almost right away. What first looked like just another moment in a typical hip-hop back and forth suddenly turned into something much more intense. The tone quickly shifted from normal hip-hop back and forth into territory that made people across the internet stop scrolling and stare at their screens. During the live stream, King Harris started speaking directly about 50 Cent. The comments quickly pushed the situation beyond regular rap beef. Instead of only throwing music-related shots or playful insults, King began bringing up deeply personal history connected to 50 Cent's family. That's when the tension really exploded. Many people already knew the painful background behind that history. 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, passed away in 1984 when he was only 8 years old. It's a tragic part of his life story that has been publicly discussed for years. During the live stream, King Harris appeared aware of that history and continued referencing it while speaking about the situation. He framed his comments as retaliation in his view, explaining that he was reacting to 50 Cent posting a photo meant to mock his own mother. But instead of cooling things down, the remarks pushed the feud deeper into personal territory. The tone wasn't calm or reflective at all. It came across as heated, emotional, and confrontational, and thousands of people online watched the entire moment unfold in real time. Then another moment added even more layers to the drama. On February 24, T.I. posted a video of himself dancing alongside his mother. The caption simply read, "Happy birthday, mama," while one of his diss tracks played in the background. The contrast between that post and the heated argument from the day before was impossible for fans to ignore. A lot of people online interpreted the post as a subtle but very deliberate jab. To them, it looked like T.I. was making a quiet statement by showing his mother right there with him while the feud kept boiling online. The timing made the message feel intentional, and the tension surrounding the situation only kept growing. That same week, the conflict spread even further. T.I.'s other son, Domani Harris, released a diss track titled "Miss Jackson" on February 27, 2026.
50 Cent is responding to T.I. with a documentary is actually hilarious. Now he goes ahead to remind everybody that his silence speaks loudness. I think everybody know, man, that last time he went quiet, things got sticky.
The song added another voice to the growing online clash and pushed the drama deeper into hip-hop media conversations. Blogs, reaction pages, and fans everywhere started picking apart every lyric and every move connected to the feud. But the moment that really made many observers draw a hard line came soon after. King Harris appeared in a diss video wearing a t-shirt printed with an image of Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's late mother. The shirt and the context surrounding the video were heavily criticized across social media. Many commentators said the situation had crossed into extremely personal territory. By that point, even some supporters of T.I. were saying the feud had gone too far. Hip-hop media outlets were watching everything closely, and one detail stood out to everyone paying attention. 50 Cent had suddenly gone completely quiet. That silence made people start asking serious questions about what he might be planning next. At first, some thought the quiet meant he was stepping back from the situation, but others saw it differently. To them, it didn't look like retreat, it looked like strategy, and that interpretation ended up being much closer to the truth. When 50 finally made a move, he didn't drop a diss track or jump into another loud social media argument. Instead, he made a move that looked far more calculated. Around that time, 50 Cent posted and then quickly deleted an Instagram screenshot teasing a project titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. The caption pointed directly at around 20 sexual assault cases connected to the couple. Even though the post disappeared quickly, screenshots spread across the internet almost instantly, and people everywhere started trying to figure out exactly what 50 Cent was setting up next. Within minutes, the message was loud and clear. This wasn't just trolling anymore. The entire tone of the feud suddenly shifted. Instead of rap bars, memes, and social media jokes flying back and forth, 50 Cent appeared to be pointing towards something much bigger, a full documentary-style project built around serious allegations that had been circulating for years. The clip people are talking about now isn't even a finished episode. It looks more like a preview, almost like a warning shot showing the direction he might be planning to take next. That alone was enough to make the internet stop and pay attention. And the reason people took the threat seriously is simple. They've seen 50 Cent make moves like this before. When he hints at a documentary or a media project about someone, it usually means he's ready to dig deep into a story and shine a massive spotlight on it. So, when that screenshot started spreading online, many observers immediately understood the strategy behind it. But the real weight behind the situation isn't just the title of the project, it's the allegations that the documentary would likely focus on. Those claims first gained major public attention back in January 2021. That's when a series of accusations involving T.I. and Tamika Harris began circulating across social media and entertainment news outlets. The situation first exploded when entrepreneur Sabrina Peterson, who said she previously knew the couple, shared a post online describing a past incident. In her post, she accused T.I. of threatening her with a gun during an encounter that she said happened in 2009. The claim quickly sparked widespread discussion across social media and entertainment platforms. Within days, Peterson also stated that she began receiving messages from numerous individuals who said they had experienced troubling situations connected to the couple.
According to her statements at the time,
Years ago, T.I. on his Instagram page went on to post a reel about himself where he captioned it by saying this: "Digging the vibes up top, yo. They showing mad love in New York, son. Oh, they rocking with the Billboard too, B. #1 on radio and in the streets and online. Hashtag let them know."
more than 30 people reached out describing similar experiences over a period that reportedly stretched from 2005 to 2018. Those claims quickly became a major topic across blogs, podcasts, and hip-hop media outlets. By March 2021, attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn announced that he was representing 11 accusers connected to the situation. Reports at the time said that 8 women were alleging sexual assault involving T.I., Tiny, or individuals connected to them, while 3 others described related claims. Some of the accusations described parties or hotel gatherings where individuals said they were given drinks that they believed may have contained substances, including MDMA, before alleged non-consensual situations reportedly occurred. The allegations were widely discussed in media coverage, and the situation quickly became one of the most controversial stories surrounding the couple. Those allegations were strongly denied by T.I. and Tiny's legal team, but the claims themselves still became part of a major public controversy. Years later, when 50 Cent hinted at building a documentary around that entire situation, people immediately understood why the move carried so much weight. Several of the accusations that surfaced in 2021 included serious and detailed claims. One woman alleged that in 2010, she was taken to a hotel where she said the couple pressured her to take drugs and participate in sexual activity while she was in a condition where she could not properly give consent. Another accuser described a similar situation from that same year, claiming she was drugged and assaulted in a hotel room by T.I. and a male associate. These were the types of allegations that quickly pulled major public attention. Importantly, The claims were not just rumors floating around on small blogs or gossip pages. The story began spreading into larger media outlets as more attorneys and alleged victims came forward and spoke publicly about the situation. High-profile attorney Lisa Bloom also announced that she was representing 2 additional women connected to the case. That development added even more visibility to the controversy and pushed journalists to start digging deeper into the pattern being described. The New York Times later reported that it had spoken with 5 individuals who said their experiences reflected similar situations involving parties, drinks, and alleged drugging before assaults reportedly occurred. Meanwhile, attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn sent formal letters to law enforcement agencies in both California and Georgia, asking them to investigate the accusations further. In those letters, he described what he believed was a pattern of abuse that stretched across multiple years. All of this information had already been sitting in the public record for roughly 5 years by the time the rap feud suddenly exploded again online. That's exactly why 50 Cent's documentary threat landed so heavily. Winning a rap battle with diss tracks is one kind of fight, but a documentary focused on serious allegations moves the conflict into a completely different arena. The stakes suddenly looked much bigger and far more serious. Back in May 2021, the Los Angeles Police Department confirmed that it had opened a formal investigation after at least 2 women filed police reports connected to the allegations. That announcement added another major layer to an already intense and widely discussed situation. The investigation pulled massive attention at the time and placed even more scrutiny around the entire situation. For months, the story stayed in headlines, while people waited to see what authorities would decide. However, by September 2021,
man, I don't know what type of #1 track is T.I. talking about, man. Like, what? Now, a lot of people in the comments are saying that 50 Cent is the real 5-0, and that he's going to cook up against T.I. is nasty work.
the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced that it would not file criminal charges in the cases that were reviewed. Officials explained that many of the alleged incidents fell outside the legal statute of limitations. In simple terms, that meant prosecutors could not pursue criminal charges because too much time had passed under the law, even if the accusations were reported later. Even without criminal charges being filed, the controversy still had major consequences in the entertainment world. The VH1 reality series T.I. and Tiny Family and Friends Hustle was eventually canceled as the situation continued generating headlines and public debate. Then the issues surfaced again years later. In January 2024, a woman identified in court documents as Jane Doe, described as an Air Force veteran, filed a civil lawsuit in California. The case was submitted under the state's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, a law that temporarily reopened the legal window for certain older claims that would normally be time-barred. In the lawsuit, the woman alleged that in 2005, she met T.I. and Tiny in the VIP section of a Los Angeles nightclub. According to the filing, she claimed she was given a drink that made her feel heavily impaired before being taken to a hotel room where she said she was sexually assaulted while unable to properly give consent. T.I. and Tiny's legal team responded quickly and strongly denied the allegations. Their attorneys filed motions asking the court to dismiss the lawsuit entirely. In August 2024, a judge granted a motion connected to the Jane Doe lawsuit after the plaintiff did not respond to filings submitted by T.I. and Tiny's legal team within the required time frame. Because there was no response filed, the court dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning the same claim could not be brought again in that form.
That ruling effectively closed that specific lawsuit. Throughout the entire controversy, T.I. and Tamika "Tiny" Harris have consistently denied every accusation made against them. Their legal team has repeatedly described the allegations as false claims and attempts to pressure them for money. In a January 2024 statement released after the lawsuit became public, the couple said, "We are innocent of these fake claims. We will not be shaken down, and we look forward to our day in court."
The statement was meant to push back strongly against the growing wave of speculation spreading across the internet. It's also important to point out that no criminal charges have ever been filed against T.I. and Tiny related to these accusations. While the claims triggered investigations and intense media coverage at the time, prosecutors ultimately did not move forward with criminal cases connected to those reports. However, the legal battles surrounding the situation have not completely disappeared. In September 2024, T.I. filed a defamation lawsuit in federal court against Sabrina Peterson, the entrepreneur whose original social media post helped push the accusations into the public spotlight back in 2021. That case is still moving through the legal system, with a trial date currently scheduled for June 2026. From a legal standpoint, the events after 2021 created a strong defensive position for T.I. and Tiny. But legal outcomes and internet narratives operate in two completely different worlds. A courtroom runs on strict rules, evidence, procedures, and final verdicts. A documentary, though, plays by a very different set of rules. And that's exactly why 50 Cent's threat grabbed so much attention across the internet. A documentary does not require a criminal conviction to shape public opinion. All it needs is interviews, archived footage, and a storyline strong enough to pull viewers in. Cameras can knock on doors, speak with people willing to tell their experiences, and present a narrative that millions of viewers might watch. And that's where 50 Cent's reputation starts to matter. He isn't approaching the situation like a prosecutor trying to win a legal case. He's approaching it like a producer building a media project designed to capture attention. Over the years, through his G-Unit film and television company, 50 Cent has built a reputation as a powerful media figure in the entertainment industry. He has produced multiple shows, documentaries, and television series that often focus on controversial stories connected to people in his orbit. Because of that history, when he hints at a project like this, many people assume there is already a bigger strategy forming behind the scenes. There's also a clear pattern to how 50 Cent tends to move when he targets someone publicly. Fans who follow his career have seen this playbook unfold again and again. First comes the social media spark, a sharp post or comment that grabs attention and gets the internet talking. Next comes the framing stage, where the story begins to form in the public conversation. Only after that does the production phase usually begin. By the time cameras actually start rolling, the audience has already been primed, the debate is already happening online, and millions of viewers are already curious to see what comes next. That's the real strategy behind the move. The documentary itself doesn't introduce the story. By the time a project like that appears, the story is already everywhere across the internet. Instead, the documentary becomes the final chapter.
Keeps on the low, but everybody knows.
There it is. 50 is clapping back at T.I. You know what? He's clapping back at the whole Harris family.
Organizing everything into a clear beginning, middle, and end. 50 Cent doesn't need to invent accusations or create rumors out of nowhere. What he tends to do is take an existing controversy, package it tightly, shape it into a narrative, and deliver it to a massive audience that's already curious and ready to watch. And that's exactly why his hint about a project connected to T.I. grabbed so much attention online. On March 5th, 2026, 50 escalated things again by posting old footage of T.I. appearing in court. Alongside the clip, he highlighted a Crime Stoppers hotline, content clearly designed to keep the long-running snitch accusations circulating across social media, while also reminding viewers about the separate sexual assault accusations that had already been discussed publicly. His caption read, "No, I don't like it, no verses. Let's do the stay away challenge and stay away from me, LOL." On the surface, it looked like another trolling moment, something 50 Cent is famous for online. But many observers believe the post was doing something else entirely. To them, it looked almost like a teaser trailer for a much bigger story he might be preparing to tell. Media personalities quickly started adding their own commentary to the situation. On February 28, 2026, blogger Tasha K posted on X claiming that sources close to 50 Cent said he was preparing a project centered around the allegations involving drugging and assault connected to T and Tiny.
In her post, she even warned the Harris family to apologize and step back from the situation, writing that 50 does not play fair. That message spread fast and only added more fuel to the online conversation. At the same time, the tension spilled back into music again.
50 released a diss track connected to the theme from his Power Origins series titled No One Told Us What We're Here For. The lyrics took shots at complicated family dynamics and rivalries without directly naming T.I., but many listeners felt the references were pretty obvious. Then, just a few days later, on March 7, 2026, he followed it up with another track titled No More Tricks, No More Lies, featuring Max B. With social media posts, music releases, and documentary hints all happening at the same time, the feud suddenly looked much bigger than a normal rap battle. The track No More Tricks, No More Lies came packed with lyrics that fans quickly linked to the ongoing drama. One line in particular grabbed attention from people following the situation closely. No more tricks, no more tries, no more believing the lies. In the middle of everything already happening online, that bar sounded less like a random lyric and more like a pointed message aimed directly at T.I. But the music wasn't the only thing people noticed. The caption 50 Cent posted alongside the release pulled just as much attention. He wrote, "I am the algorithm." That short line said a lot about the strategy behind everything unfolding. It suggested that 50 wasn't just reacting to T.I. anymore. Instead, it looked like he was trying to control the entire narrative, pushing the conversation in a direction where the public story starts forming around his version first. For people watching the situation closely, the pattern started becoming obvious. The trolling posts, the old courtroom footage, the diss tracks, those might not have been the main event at all. Instead, they look more like the warm-up moves, the pieces used to build momentum and keep the spotlight locked exactly where 50 Cent wanted it. The real strategy seemed bigger than music. It looked like a plan built around turning conflict into content, then pushing that content everywhere until it completely dominates the conversation online. That kind of approach already has a major precedent in the entertainment world. The documentary Surviving R. Kelly, which premiered in 2019, became a huge cultural moment and reportedly reached more than 26 million viewers. 2 years later, in 2021, R. Kelly was convicted in federal court. Because of that history, the rumored title Surviving T.I. and Tiny immediately grabbed attention. The wording alone placed the couple inside a very specific narrative lane, and many observers believed that choice of title was intentional. In other words, the name itself seemed designed to frame the story before the project even exists. By doing that, 50 Cent would essentially be setting the stage, building a box around the controversy, daring the people inside it to fight their way out in front of the entire public. T.I., for his part, responded with a very defiant tone. On March 5, 2026, he posted a video from the set of his Let 'Em Know music video shoot and fired back directly at 50. In the caption, he wrote, "We can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for doc. Either way, all you're going to do is show how much of a FN you is. Let's play. Nobody fears you over here, boo-boo." Not long after posting that message, T.I. released another diss track titled Trauma Bond.
Your daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta, so he's not even talking directly to Tip. He's talking to one of Tip's sons, who has dissed him, right? He's talking to Tip's family about Tip, but not just Tip. He's bringing Tiny into the situation yet again.
When he shared the song online, he added another caption aimed directly at 50 Cent, writing, "50, drop whatever you choose. Just please keep showing the world you a bird. Pandora's box is ajar, sir." Hidden inside T.I.'s response was one small detail that caught the attention of fans and commentators. When he wrote doc for doc, he hinted that he might also be considering a documentary of his own. If that idea actually turns into a real project, the conflict could shift into something completely different. Not just a battle of music, but a battle of competing documentaries and rival narratives playing out on screen. The big question now is whether anything T.I. produces could compete with the infrastructure 50 Cent already has in place. Through his G-Unit film and television company, 50 has built a full production machine, established distribution connections, and an audience that's already been pulled deep into the story. At this point, the conflict between 50 Cent and T.I. doesn't look like a normal rap feud anymore. It's starting to resemble a fight over who controls the story and who ultimately gets the final word in front of the public. Music may have started the tension, but the real battle now is about narrative power. For years, 50 Cent has been building something far bigger than just a rap career. Through G-Unit film and television, he quietly developed a production machine capable of turning real-life controversy into full-scale entertainment projects that capture massive attention. And when that machine starts moving, the impact usually reaches far beyond a simple rap diss.
Projects connected to 50 Cent's brand have already landed on major television networks and big streaming platforms. Because of that track record, when he even hints at a documentary, many people assume the infrastructure to actually produce and distribute it is already sitting in place. That's exactly why the threat of something titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny feels very different from a normal social media jab. It signals the possibility of a long-form story told through interviews, archived footage, and personal testimonies that could reach millions of viewers around the world. And even the idea of a project like that instantly raises the stakes. A rap battle might dominate headlines for a few weeks, but eventually the conversation fades. A documentary is different. Once it exists, it can stay online for years, replaying the same story over and over, while new audiences keep discovering it. For T.I., the challenge looks completely different. Responding with songs, captions, or live streams might energize his fan base in the moment, but those responses live inside the fast-moving social media cycle where attention disappears quickly. A documentary operates on a totally different timeline. It can lock a narrative into place and replay that story again and again in front of viewers who may not have followed the original drama at all. That's why so many observers in hip-hop media are watching this situation closely. If the rumored project actually moves forward, the feud could evolve from a typical rap rivalry into something much bigger, a full-scale media showdown. And at that point, the real question would no longer be who had the best diss track or the sharpest bars. The bigger question would be who managed to shape the story that the public ends up believing. That uncertainty is what makes the entire situation feel unpredictable right now. When a feud shifts from music into documentaries and long-form media projects, the rules of the game change completely. A diss track might trend for a few days, or maybe a few weeks, but a documentary can reopen a story again and again every time new viewers press play. For 50 Cent, turning conflict into content has slowly become part of his public playbook over the years. Time after time, when controversy appears around someone in his orbit, he moves quickly to frame the narrative in a way that keeps attention locked on the story. First come the social media posts that spark conversation. Then interviews and music releases start feeding the discussion. Eventually, those moments build towards something bigger, a full production that pulls everything together. That's exactly why the possibility of surviving T.I. and Tiny carries so much weight in the middle of this feud. Even the rumor of a project like that creates pressure because it signals a shift away from temporary online drama and towards something much more permanent in the public spotlight. When a story moves into documentaries or long-form productions, it stops being just internet drama and starts becoming something much more permanent. Content that lands on streaming platforms or television can stay in circulation for years, replayed again and again. Once something reaches that format, it becomes part of the cultural record in a way that a few viral posts never could. At the same time, T.I. has made it clear that he isn't backing down from the confrontation. His public responses show that he's ready to fight this battle in multiple arenas, through music, public statements, and possibly even media projects of his own. That means the situation could keep evolving in ways nobody expected. Right now, one thing is certain. What started as a rap rivalry has grown into something far bigger. Instead of simply competing for the loudest diss track, both sides now appear to be preparing for a much larger fight. And in this fight, the real prize may not be a rap victory at all. The real prize is control over the story that millions of people will eventually hear. What made this feud even more explosive is that it didn't stay between two rappers for very long.
And 50 also shared this post suggesting that maybe there's a darker story here. Maybe there's something I need to expose like I did with my Diddy documentary. I'm sure 50 is well aware of the allegations against Tip and against Tiny from a few years ago when 12 women came forward claiming that they were drugged, that they were SA'd by the Harris family. Now, I will say that those allegations were dismissed. It was deemed that it was past the statute of limitations, so nothing could be done about it. But 50 being 50, he's going to take this information.
Instead, it pulled T.I.'s entire family straight into the middle of the conflict. The reactions from different members of the Harris household show exactly how a disagreement that began around a possible versus battle suddenly expanded into something massive. Now the situation looks like a full public clash filled with diss tracks, social media arguments, and even talk of documentaries with long-term consequences. One of the biggest flashpoints came from King Harris. His Instagram live rant quickly became one of the most talked about moments in the entire situation. During that live stream, King directed comments at 50 Cent and referenced 50's late mother, Sabrina Jackson. That move sparked immediate backlash across social media. The internet split almost instantly into two sides. Some people defended King, saying he was standing up for his mother after seeing her mocked online. Others argued that the moment crossed a serious line that should never be touched, no matter how heated a feud becomes.
Several voices from the hip-hop world also stepped in. Boosie Badass, for example, publicly criticized the situation and said bringing a deceased parent into a feud was wrong. His comments echoed what many fans were already saying, that some topics should remain completely off limits even during a rap battle. Still, King wasn't the only member of the family reacting publicly. The entire household appeared to respond as the tension kept escalating. T.I.'s other son, Damani Harris, who was also a rapper, released a diss track titled Miss Jackson on February 27, 2026. Damani's approach sounded noticeably different, keeping the focus on rap competition instead of diving into deeply personal attacks. Even younger members of the family became part of the online moment. Eris Harris, the daughter of T.I. and Tiny, shared a video of herself singing along with a caption that framed the post as a show of support for her mother. Moments like that showed how the entire family was feeling the pressure of a feud that had suddenly exploded into a worldwide conversation. After the backlash began, the clip spread quickly across social media pages that were already tracking every move in the feud. Reaction videos, blog posts, and commentary channels all started reposting the moment, turning it into one of the most discussed clips connected to the entire situation. Around the same time, Tiny Harris broke her silence on Instagram. She posted a message praising her sons, calling them her biggest flex, and thanking them for standing up for her. From her perspective, their reactions looked like loyalty and protection rather than crossing a line. T.I.'s response, however, sounded a little more complicated. During a podcast interview, he spoke about King Harris's actions and suggested that the situation wasn't something he fully supported. T.I. explained that he had spent years trying to guide King away from impulsive reactions like that. According to him, the feud created a moment where those lessons almost got pushed aside. That's when T.I. made it clear that boundaries still had to exist. He later explained that he personally stepped in and told King Harris to stop, especially after the moment involving the t-shirt printed with an image of 50 Cent's late mother. According to T.I., that moment was the point where the situation clearly crossed the line. Even with emotions running high, he said there still had to be limits on how the conflict was handled. When speaking publicly about the feud, T.I. also tried to frame his role in a very specific way. In an interview with TMZ, he did not present the conflict as something he was trying to win like a typical rap battle. Instead, he described his motivation as something much more personal. He said his focus was on the women in his household. T.I. explained that throughout the entire situation, his goal was to make sure the women in his family could see the men around them standing up for them. That framing, defense instead of victory, helps explain why several members of the Harris family reacted so quickly and so publicly. From their perspective, the responses were about loyalty and protection. But at the same time, that approach created a serious strategic problem.
When a feud becomes emotional and family members jump into the spotlight, it can also create moments that give the other side new material to use. Observers who closely follow legal disputes pointed out that situations like this can carry real risks. Some commentators suggested that attorneys connected to 50 Cent were likely paying very close attention to everything being said online. When conflicts spill into public accusations or deeply personal attacks, even a small mistake can sometimes open the door to legal complications. Eventually, 50 Cent addressed the comments involving his mother in a post responding to the situation. He acknowledged the tension, but also reminded people about his personal history, pointing out that his mother had died when he was still very young. By framing the moment that way, he positioned himself as someone who had been personally hurt by the comments.
Control, and he's gonna ask the questions, is there smoke without fire? And after T.I. and his family used the angle trying to imply that 50 had his own house burned down with his baby mama in it, with his son in it, well, this is quid pro quo for 50. Things are definitely getting darker in this diss war. We'll see where we go from.
That shift in tone changed how some people in the public conversation started viewing the feud. For many observers, the T-shirt incident became a major turning point, one that suddenly gave 50 Cent a stronger position in the public debate surrounding the conflict. Even people inside the hip-hop community who first treated the feud like entertainment started to slow down and rethink the situation. Rapper Uncle Murder spoke about the drama during an interview, and at first he discussed it the same way many fans had, like typical rap beef filled with jokes, diss tracks, and online drama. But in the middle of the conversation, he suddenly stopped himself. Uncle Murder caught his own tone and corrected it on the spot. Instead of laughing it off, he said plainly that the situation ain't funny games. That quick shift in his reaction captured exactly what many observers had started realizing at the same time.
At the beginning, the back and forth between 50 Cent and T.I. looked like classic rap drama. Social media trolling, diss records, and online arguments flying back and forth. That kind of energy has always been part of hip-hop competition. But once the documentary thread entered the conversation, the entire tone of the feud changed. Suddenly, the stakes looked much bigger. As of March 8, 2026, no documentary titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny has been officially announced. No episodes have appeared on any streaming platform, and no television network has confirmed a production deal connected to that title. In reality, nothing concrete exists yet. What the public actually has right now is a threat, a history of similar projects, and a very noticeable silence from 50 Cent. And that silence has turned into a powerful part of the situation because it keeps the conversation alive while leaving everyone wondering what move might come next. To understand why people are taking the possibility so seriously, many commentators point to a major precedent that is often discussed in media circles: the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly. When that project premiered in 2019, it reached a massive audience, reportedly drawing around 26 million viewers. The series organized years of accusations and testimonies into a single narrative that millions of people suddenly saw all at once. 2 years later, in 2021, R. Kelly was convicted in federal court and later sentenced to 30 years in prison. The documentary itself did not create the legal evidence used in that trial, but it helped bring widespread attention to the allegations and shape the public conversation around the case. That model is exactly what many observers believe 50 Cent understands very well. His growing reputation in television and film production shows that he knows how to turn complicated controversies into media projects that attract massive attention. At the same time, T.I.'s legal situation is not identical to that earlier case. In the situation surrounding T.I. and Tiny, many of the accusations reported in 2021 involved incidents that fell outside the legal statute of limitations. That limited the ability of prosecutors to bring criminal charges tied to those reports. The civil lawsuit filed in 2024 connected to the claims was also dismissed with prejudice, and no criminal charges have been filed against T.I. related to those allegations. From a legal standpoint, that distinction remains an important part of the story as the public conversation continues to unfold. That distinction matters a lot. Legal decisions and public perception don't always move in the same direction.
Even when courts reach certain conclusions, public opinion can still shift depending on how a story is presented and who controls the narrative. A documentary that reaches a massive audience could still reshape how many people view the situation. If a project like that ever moved forward and landed major distribution, the ripple effects could spread across several parts of T.I.'s career, including tours, business ventures, and entertainment projects tied to his brand. That possibility is exactly why so many voices in hip-hop media are watching the situation closely. At the moment, no documentary has actually been released, but the conversation itself has already become a major part of the story. If a large documentary about the allegations ever reached a wide audience, the impact could extend far beyond internet debates. Projects connected to Tiny's group Escape, including reunion tours and live performances, could suddenly find themselves overshadowed by renewed controversy. The businesses, real estate ventures, and media opportunities the couple has built over the last 2 decades could also face a much heavier spotlight if the narrative shifts again in the public eye. But there is another side to this equation as well. A documentary only carries real weight if it introduces new information, new voices, or deeper reporting that pushes the story forward. If a project were released without new evidence, new accusers, or meaningful investigative detail, critics could quickly dismiss it as weak or one-sided. In that scenario, the entire strategy could actually backfire. Instead of strengthening the narrative, it could end up reinforcing support for T.I. Throughout the entire situation, T.I. has maintained a very defiant public stance. He also has a loyal fan base that has stood behind him through multiple controversies over the years, including federal gun charges, prison time, and long periods of public scrutiny. Because of that history, some fans believe he has already shown the ability to survive intense waves of media pressure. If 50 Cent's production were ever viewed by the public as more of a personal grudge project rather than a serious investigation into allegations, it could potentially strengthen T.I.'s support base instead of weakening it. And that possibility adds another unpredictable layer to a feud that already keeps evolving in real time.
Some of T.I.'s supporters have already started framing 50 Cent's actions in a completely different light. To them, the constant posts, old clips, and documentary hints look more like jealousy or trolling than a serious move. That interpretation isn't surprising either, because 50 has built a reputation over the years for using a very aggressive and sarcastic online persona. But the situation became even more interesting when T.I. hinted at a countermove of his own. When he wrote "Doc for Doc," many fans believed he was suggesting the possibility of creating a documentary project from his side as well. According to that implication, such a project could explore parts of 50 Cent's personal history, including family tensions and business disputes that have surfaced over the years but have rarely been examined in a full production. Whether a project like that actually exists right now is still unclear. It could simply be part of the public standoff between the two camps. But even the idea of competing documentaries suddenly creates the feeling of a stalemate, with both sides hinting that they might have something much bigger ready to drop. And that dynamic fits closely with how 50 Cent usually operates. Much of his strategy revolves around controlling appearances and shaping the public conversation long before anything official is released. He understands how attention moves online, and he often uses that momentum to keep people watching. Some fans believe T.I. and his family have already won the rap battle portion of the feud. They point to the diss tracks, the social media responses, and the way the Harris family quickly rallied together during the conflict. But others are much more cautious about declaring a winner too early. Their reasoning comes from history. Over the years, 50 Cent has built a reputation for outlasting rivals who thought they had the upper hand, only for the situation to flip later in unexpected ways. That reputation is exactly why many people in hip-hop media are still watching this feud very carefully, because if there's one pattern that has followed 50 Cent throughout his career, it's his ability to play the long game. Time and time again, conflicts that looked finished on the surface eventually circled back in ways people didn't see coming. That history is also why the documentary threat continues to hang over this feud like a shadow. Over the years, 50 Cent has turned controversy into a full business strategy through G-Unit film and television.
He has helped produce multiple series, documentaries, and scripted shows that reached massive audiences across major networks and streaming platforms. Projects connected to his brand have landed on channels like Starz and other major distributors, which means he isn't just throwing out ideas online. He already has the production pipeline capable of turning those ideas into real shows that millions of people could end up watching. That detail becomes very important when people talk about the possibility of a project like Surviving T.I. and Tiny. Anyone can throw out a threat on social media, but very few people in hip-hop actually have the infrastructure to turn that threat into a full production that millions of viewers might watch. 50 Cent does.
Shit, niggas raised, I'm not raised like that. I'm not going about my mama.
And because of that, even the possibility of a documentary carries serious weight long before a single camera ever starts rolling. At the same time, the Harris family has made it clear they are not approaching this situation quietly. Their responses through music, interviews, and social media show that they are ready to push back in the public arena if necessary. T.I. in particular has been very direct about his stance. He has repeatedly framed the situation as a matter of defending his family and protecting their reputation. From his perspective, stepping back is not part of the plan. That clash of strategies is exactly what makes the moment so unpredictable. On one side stands a rapper who has evolved into a powerful media producer, someone known for turning rivalries and controversy into television and streaming content that reaches huge audiences. On the other side stands an artist with decades of success, a loyal fan base, and a family that has publicly rallied behind him during the conflict. Right now, the most powerful weapon in the entire situation might actually be time. The longer the silence around the rumored documentary continues, the more speculation grows about what might eventually appear. Every social media post, every diss track, and every interview keeps the conversation alive while people wait to see if the threat will turn into something real.
That's why the feud has already moved far beyond a simple rap rivalry. What originally started as talk about a possible versus battle has now evolved into a complicated public showdown involving music, media influence, family loyalty, legal history, and the power of storytelling itself. In the end, the real question might not be who delivered the sharpest diss track. The bigger question might be who ultimately controls the version of events that the world remembers. Another factor making this situation even more intense is the speed of the modern internet. Years ago, rap feuds mostly lived inside songs, album releases, interviews, and maybe a few heated radio appearances. The drama unfolded slowly. Today, everything explodes instantly across social media feeds where millions of people react in real time. That environment completely changes the pressure on everyone involved. A single Instagram post can trigger a full news cycle within minutes. A live stream can pull thousands of viewers while the moment is still happening. And once clips start spreading across the internet, the conversation quickly grows far beyond the original audience. In this feud, that exact pattern has played out again and again, turning every small moment into a massive online event. King Harris's live stream, the diss tracks, and even screenshots of deleted posts all spread across the internet within hours. Blogs, podcasts, and hip-hop commentary channels quickly jumped in, breaking down every detail and debating every move. Supporters from both sides began building their own narratives online. Some argued about who really started the conflict, while others focused on who crossed the bigger line. The debate kept growing as more people joined the conversation. That constant online attention actually feeds directly into 50 Cent's strategy. Over the years, he has shown that he understands how to keep a story circulating long after the original moment happens. Even a short social media post can keep the conversation alive because fans, critics, and commentators will continue arguing about the meaning behind it. For T.I., the internet spotlight works both ways. On one hand, it allows him to speak directly to fans and defend his reputation in his own voice. But on the other hand, every response becomes part of the permanent public record. And in a situation where allegations, legal history, and personal attacks are already being discussed, every new statement can quickly turn into another headline. That's why some observers believe the feud has already entered a completely different phase. The diss tracks and social media posts may have sparked the drama, but the real battle now is about narrative momentum. Whoever shapes the public's understanding of the story could end up holding the real advantage. If 50 Cent eventually moves forward with a documentary, the internet conversation that already exists would act like a giant introduction to the project. Millions of people already know the names, the accusations, and the background of the conflict before the first scene would even begin. That kind of awareness can give a production a powerful launch because the audience is already invested in the story. But the opposite possibility also exists. If the documentary never actually appears, the threat itself might simply remain another dramatic chapter in a long-running rap rivalry. In that case, the feud could eventually cool down and fade into the long list of hip-hop conflicts that burned bright for a moment before the attention moved somewhere else. Right now, everything sits in a strange balance. The accusations, the responses, the diss tracks, and the documentary rumors all exist at the same time, creating a story that still feels unfinished until something concrete happens, whether that's a new project, a legal development, or another major response. The entire situation remains suspended in anticipation. Fans across the internet are watching closely, waiting to see which move will change the story next. And that uncertainty reveals something important about the whole conflict. Diss tracks belong to one arena of hip-hop competition, but documentaries exist in a completely different lane. And when it comes to that second arena, 50 Cent has already shown that he knows how to operate at a scale that a typical rap battle simply cannot match. King Harris had his own answer to all the doubt. During that same Instagram Live where the feud reached its most personal moment, his tone was full of confidence. From his perspective, the Harris family wasn't backing down from anything. The message he delivered was simple and direct. They believed they were standing their ground and protecting their own. But confidence alone might not be the thing that decides what happens next, because every moment in this feud, the t-shirt controversy, the live stream comments, the gray photo, and the diss tracks have been watched closely, and not just by fans. Observers from different angles have been paying attention too. Some are looking at the situation through a legal lens. Others are watching from a media and production perspective. But many of them are asking the same big question: what kind of story could all of this eventually become? And if history has shown anything about 50 Cent, it's that he rarely moves without a long-term strategy. This is someone who survived 9 gunshot wounds, rebuilt his career after major financial setbacks, and pushed through years of critics claiming his run was finished. Yet time after time, he has managed to turn pressure into opportunity. So now, the story reaches the real question everything has been building toward. The diss tracks might already be fading into the background. Social media posts will eventually disappear into the endless scroll of the internet. But if a documentary actually appears, the impact could be much bigger than any rap battle. Because when a story is packaged and delivered to millions of viewers, the consequences rarely come from punchlines or lyrics. They come from the narrative people remember long after the music stops. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who follows hip-hop culture. And drop your thoughts in the comments too. Do you think the documentary will actually happen, or is this whole situation just one giant chess move playing out in public?